If you're struggling to land your throws in Randori or sparring, it's because you haven't mastered these drills. It was the same with me. I would come home from practice really frustrated and feeling unsatisfied because I felt like I didn't perform to the best of my abilities like I really deep down knew I could. It wasn't until I spent just a few weeks and I mastered these drills that, I kid you not, it added like an extra 30% of success rate to all my throws, and I started winning more matches and throwing more people in Randori. So I'm going to break down each one and share why it was beneficial in my journey. This is especially if you're more of a hobbyist and you're kind of based in the US or, you know, like maybe first world countries where judo isn't really big, like in Japan or in Russia, where people have you have more of these dedicated judokas who are training up to 6 times a week, and you have training partners at your disposal pretty much whenever you need. It's like you can't get your mind off of judo because it's 24/7. Those people probably don't need a grappling dummy. Especially good if maybe you're going to the dojo like I am to this day, like 2 to 3 times a week, and you know, you still want to get your reps in, you still want to improve even faster, because this is what it helps with. It helps really perfect your technique faster. It helps you get more reps faster without having to rely on partners and going to the dojo, because you're not going that often. You don't have access to it like, you know, in these really big judo countries. Ever since I bought my first grappling dummy, I fell in love. I obsessed. I had so much fun with it. I even bought a new grappling dummy, and it's great. It's made out of genuine leather, and it's definitely going to last me at least 10 years, and it's 85 pounds, so it's really going to help me like get used to throwing heavy and more explosive. But anyways, see, the benefits of a grappling dummy is that, again, they're the closest tool to a real human body that you're going to find to get your reps in, and the more reps you do, the more little nuances you start picking up about your technique. Like I would do up to 100 reps sometimes, like when I had a lot of time, especially back in my college days when I lived at home with my parents. I would throw that thing around on my backyard on hot summer days. I would just fall into a flow state. I would start, you know, having fun with it and start like experimenting, like I wonder what would happen if I rotated my whole body and like almost did a complete 180 turn. I wonder how much more power would generate in the throw. And that's when I picked up on that, and I learned how to do makikomi rolls with my uchimatas. I learned how to throw a lot harder. I mastered my kazushi, my footwork, just from doing tons of reps and just discovering like what truly works for me. That's the thing with judo. Like you can't do like what works for me. The beauty of solo training is you do it so much to the point where you just figure out your flow, your personal game, what works for you in relation with Randori. Okay, guys, like just a disclaimer, this whole routine isn't going to be as effective if you're not doing Randori at least twice a week, because the solo training is, like I said, you're developing your game, you're discovering these nuances, and then you're actually testing it out in real combat. But see, in real combat and sparring and Randori, that's when you kind of discover like the real fighting style you have, your real flow, because that's how you really fight against a real person. And the weaknesses that you discover when you fight and the strengths that you discover about yourself, that's what you hone in on your own with solo training. So you make your weaknesses your strengths, and you make your strengths your second nature. So when you actually do Randori week after week, you see these gradual improvements. That's how you become an advanced level judoka. And a grappling dummy just facilitates that process. So go ahead and shoot me a message on Instagram, and I have a list of recommendations. However, guys, everybody DMs me on Instagram asking for these, but see, a grappling dummy, again, is just a tool. It's not going to solve all your problems. It's not going to magically make you excellent. Okay, you got to know how to use it. You got to have like some throws in mind. Like not all throws are going to work on a grappling dummy, depending on like the stiffness and that sort of thing. Some throws are better to wait till you go to the dojo to try on real people. So this is like no equipment at all. You basically just use the air and you're fitting in. The benefit of this one I noticed is, you know, it's kind of like shadow boxers, you know, but for judokas. The benefit is that it really locks in your muscle memory. You're getting used to the hip rotation, you're getting used to the footwork, you're getting used to like understanding, again, nuances with, you know, the precision, the right amount of torque, the right amount of speed in your rotation. You just do it so much to the point where like you develop muscle memory in your feet. And then when the times when I would do this well, I would go to practice and I was working on seonage, you know, at home, and voila, like at first when I was doing seonage as like a newbie, I would come in like kind of half-assed, like half of my shoulder would come in, and like instructors would always have to come up to me and like correct me, and it was so freaking annoying until I learned how to do proper uchikomis, like fully rotating 180 degrees, rotating your head all around to the point where the full surface of your back should hit up against your opponent's abdomen, and he should be pulled off of his toes, off of his heels, and that's a good entry for seonage. And that's only something that I developed through doing shadow uchikomis. And this is beautiful, especially if you don't have any equipment at home. No excuses, guys. You don't need a grappling dummy, again, isn't the end all be all. It's really your mindset and how you push yourself and how resourceful you are. So this is similar to the second drill, the shadow uchikomis, except it's a bit more realistic because you have resistance. The bands act as your opponent's sleeves. So this one was where I really worked on my seonage entry. And if you guys didn't know, this was actually the very first drill that I did my first year of judo. And I didn't buy a grappling dummy till like my second year. And I would do tons of uchikomis. I would do like hundreds of these, both right and left side in my garage. I would just tie it around, you know, like the rails of my garage door. Some of you guys have seen like my garage training videos. I still train there to this day, and I would just do hundreds of entries. I would also work on uchimata entries, and I would do this tons of times a week along with the jump rope. And just 5 months into my judo journey, I won first place in my very first competition. I landed 2 clean ippons with uchimata, no grappling dummy, just doing uchikomis with the band and showing up to practice and doing Randori twice a week and really practicing what I was working on at home on real people and real sparring. As you can see here on the screen, I have taped a triangle. So this kind of mimics the imaginary triangle that is created between your opponent's 2 feet and your position. Now this helps train you stepping in exactly where you should for most forward throws. It's more so for the beginner, but even me, like even more advanced people, we often kind of forget the basic footworks because we're so preoccupied, like, okay, what exercise, what throw, what technique should I do to get to the next level, that we neglect the basics that are actually super important because they're the backbone to advanced techniques. Ono, for example, Shohei Ono, the Japanese, best judoka in history. His #1 throw that he uses the most to win matches is Osotogari. That is the #1 most basic, most easiest throw, the #1 throw we learn in judo. So if he still does the basics, who are we to not do the basics? It happened with me that I kind of developed like a bad habit with the grappling dummy with my uchimata entry. At first I had a pretty good entry. I did it really well. My uchimata was pretty flawless. Other than getting lower and deeper. That's my problem even now. Like I still forget to bring my legs in deeper into the triangle between my opponent's legs and kind of bend my knees a little bit to get low, center of gravity. But I developed a weird bad habit where I would, it was just kind of like mental. Like I would be afraid to stick my right leg in and stick my feet in between his legs deep enough to the point where I was too far and the lift would be more effortful. It would take up more energy and more like strength to lift them. But my mistake was, again, I needed to get deeper to rely more on the hips to make the throw more effortless. See, the more hip is involved in any forward throw, the less effort, the less strength you're gonna use. And that is judo. The gentle way. Very little muscle involved. It's all momentum and leverage. Work. Every piece of training works, guys. But see, it doesn't work unless you work. It doesn't work unless you stick to it consistently. But I challenge you, stick to this every other day for at least 90 days. That's 3 months. Because I noticed in periods of fight camp when I was preparing for competition, I would train like this. Like I would never miss a day of training, and like my competition would come up, you know, 60 up to 90 days before, and I would prepare. I would always do my training, and that's why I performed very well, and that's why I got good fast, because I trained like my life depended on it. Like I'm the type of guy that I really like to come prepared to events, and I don't, because if I don't, I just embarrass myself, and I hate that feeling. So as long as I give my best effort, I don't really care about the outcome. But that's the thing, like I want to prepare so I can give my best effort, because otherwise I can't. And as a byproduct, that made me see, wow, it made me see what's truly possible in a short amount of time. How much more advanced you can take your technique up if you really go hard consistently for at least, you know, a period of time of 3 to 6 months, guys. So I challenge you. I do have a one-on-one coaching program, guys, where I grab this exact system plus a bunch of other things that I've discovered that have worked for me and other clients that I've worked with in the past, and I customize training programs according to to help you reach that advanced level faster instead of trying to figure it out on your own. So if that interests you, you could go ahead and check out the first link in the description. You could book a call with me personally, and we'll talk about your goals and see if you're a good fit for my one-on-one judo mentorship program. And you can also message me on Instagram, which is the second link. And I look forward